back. And he came out, and he went right to the side that he always goes to in WWE. There was nobody there in AEW because he usually runs out and he'll run out to the right, but there was nobody. There's like no fans over in that section when they ran out there.
Yes, we're live. The hard cam section of AEW does not have just about any fans. And of course, the cameras will never point in that direction to show that during the show. So it seems like the arena is full, and that's fine. I just don't know. This is not a like. Is this a good sign, or is it like not a good sign? Is it a good sign that they're still trying to gather viewership, and then they're still working on it, and they're a young company, or is this a sign that they used to fill up the arenas and now they don't anymore?
I don't
Like,
think so, only because it's been a constant topic of discussion. Like every event that comes up, there's a group of people that I talk to pretty much on a daily basis. They're more AEW fans than I am, but they always talk about how little amount of the seats that are on sale have been sold. Um, they're, a friend of mine goes to a decent amount of AEW shows. And he'll take pictures of the crowd, and some nights it's there's a lot of people there. Then there's a lot more nights than that that it's just compared to what it looks like on TV to what it really is. And same thing goes with WWE. Like they're not, the WWE's like they're both good at showing what they have and good at not showing what they don't have. But it makes you like just like sometimes their shows are just like super small, almost to the point where it's like the hard cams are like where the hard cam is facing, like that is the people, and like
yeah,
the camera won't move to the left or right because if it does, they're getting nobody. You're not getting cuts to and I think that's why they keep their um actually I
lighting
don't
low.
know. I don't know. Well, no, I was thinking of the broadcast group because AEW used to always have their broadcast group up on the ramp
Yeah.
and not at the ringside because you don't want to look at your commentary group and not see people sitting behind them. You know, WWE, you look over at Michael Cole and all them, there's always people full behind them.
Yeah.
Um, so I think like the positioning of their night. I was just trying to think of if whenever and I don't watch AEW much at all. Um, they were at ringside at Revolution, and that was a big crowd. But like the thing is though is like whenever I see an AEW crowd, mostly for their pay per views because I don't watch Collision or uh, whatever their other
Dynamite.
shows. Yeah, Dynamite. Um, but like their pay per views, I'm always like, man, I wish like I kind of wish WB crowds were kind of like this, like 'cause it's like very old, like Attitude
It's all.
Era ish, you
Yeah,
know.
it's lit different. Yeah. It's
That the crowd reacts different. Um, they get annoying really fast too. Um, but it's like the capacity looks so big, and it's really not. It's crazy. It's crazy how manipulating cameras are.
Well, I mean, is this like is AEW declining because of this, or
No,
is this how AEW has been the whole time? See, I don't know this.
I think it's really you really start to understand why they're going to the same locations all the time. Like you're seeing them go to Chicago, you're seeing them go to New York, you're seeing them stay in Florida because that's where the people show up. They start going to these other cities, people aren't showing up. People will watch, but they're not going to show up at the shows like they do in these few cities where they do sell out and stuff like that. So, I don't know. I'm like, it's really hard to say, like, because it's just, it seems like they're consistent, but they're consistent without making a big difference in the upward trajectory. Trajectory. There we go. Look at that. Um, they're very consistent where they are. I mean, yeah, and again, you bring up like because they're still young and they're still new. It's hard to really say that because I feel like they've been around. It probably feels like they've been around a lot longer than they have been. But their
They're still young.
rosters, it's just a very niche crowd, very
Yes.
niche wrestling. Just everything about it is niche. It's very indie. And and then you look at like the real indies, the real indie wrestling where they're not on TV or anything. They're streaming their shows on Twitch or TikTok or YouTube, and that's the only type of way that you can view these indie shows. And there's only a few hundred people there. AEW is almost like that in the sense of comparing to what their roster is, and they got a decent amount of fucking people on their roster, and they're getting paid bank. But the crowds are just very, I don't know. I don't know. It's always very hard. Like I'm always surprised when I see when people take pictures of the shows when they're live when they're there, and they'll take a picture of the crowd and how empty it is. And it's like I watched that show. It did not feel like that. Um, and that's just like that's just the manipulation of the camera, what it shows, the audio, and what you hear, and the silence and the volume, like how low the volume is that you don't hear. Like they just change the volume of the noise. WWE does the same. Um, but yeah, it's just. But they're big events. They're still getting out. They're still having 14, 15,000, 16,000 people. The bad thing. I mean, if you're putting that in comparison, SmackDown can do that on a big SmackDown night, and then they can do almost 100,000 on their big shows. Like, and it's like they're nowhere. Like, it's like these are the parts where you can't compare them to. I mean, you can
You
compare them to
can't.
WWE, but you're not going to put them in competition with WWE. I mean, but the thing is like you go to an AEW show, I guarantee there's more people there that are interacting than if you go to a WWE show like Raw or SmackDown, where people are going there and more of a right people just going there to take their kids and they're not really interested in it. Um, I don't know. It's just I don't know. It's very different. I don't really know.
You can't compare them to or to WWE. That's true. They were, and they're the only closest competition WWE has, really. And
Yes.
they just
Yeah.
signed Okada, which is once
Oh,
again more of a niche.
yeah.
It's like
But it's like,
AEW
hmm,
is not trying what WWE is doing. Like they're not trying to do what WWE is doing. It doesn't seem like it. And that's the difference. WWE has always tried to reach as many fans as possible, obviously, you know, and
right.
you have AEW that seems to just kind of like, hey, we want just this niche that we
Right.
have already, which is, they're really good fans and they love this type of wrestling. But as far as your like kind of a general wrestling crowd or general wrestling uh people that just enjoy it, you know, they're not huge wrestling fans. What would you call that? Just your basic wrestling fan
Casual.
is yeah,
Casual.
casual. Thank you. Yeah, your casual fan is, you know, AW's product is just not for them, obviously. And I don't
Right.
know because you look at, um, I mean, you just look at their attendance, you look at their viewership, and AEW was closer when WWE was struggling during the pandemic, but still, it was, it's like I think WWE on a worst night was about 2 million, and AEW on their best night was like 200 and some thousand, 300,000, maybe even 400,000. Shit, I think I've heard somewhere that they've gotten up to 700,000. Uh, but it's not the same, and it's kind of sad to see this. Like, can they keep up
Right.
paying these guys because when these seats are not filled, like that's
That's,
and how does it
it's
feel to be like somebody like Edge who is used to WWE, and then you're sitting there and you're looking at all
right.
these empty seats that you have to perform to the hard cam. How does that feel? Uh, it could be like, they could feel like they're building up something from the ground up, but at the same time, it's like with the
It's almost
popularity of
more
wrestling, here's the thing, like WWE doesn't come to Denver where I am more than sometimes not even once a year, you know?
right.
There's plenty of room for and Denver's a big fucking town,
Yeah, it's I mean
you know?
it's a big it's a important city, especially in the
Yeah.
sports world. I mean, you have
Yeah.
a basketball team, you have a baseball
Yeah.
team, you have a hockey
Yeah.
team, you have
Football.
you have football. You have all four major sports in Denver.
Yeah. And uh, d-
They're
if AEW is to come to Denver,
not going there.
but that's
Well,
just the thing, man. If they were to come to like it's not like WWE is hitting all these cities 3 4 times a year. They're hitting one city maybe once a year. There's plenty of there's plenty
which,
of room. That's not the fucking problem. I don't feel like.
right,
I feel like
right,
the
no,
problem is it has more to do with the type of product that's being put up there. And that's what the worrisome part is. It's like, are you okay? at this level, like, because you certainly, it doesn't look like you're trying to branch out. It looks like you're
Right.
really just sticking your feet down with this type of wrestling and not really trying to reach out the
Well,
casual
I
wrestling
think they
fan.
are. I think they're attempting
They're
to
gonna
go
need
to
to.
different places. Like they've gone out to California. They've gone out to Vegas. They
If
were.
AEW comes to Denver, I'll go, even though I don't necessarily like the product, simply because I missed WWE. I didn't go to
Right.
SmackDown last year. I don't know when they're going to be here this year, but if I see or hear AEW is coming to Denver, I would go. I actually want to watch them live wrestling for once, like a big promotion.
Right.
But they sure as fuck are not enticing to me, you know?
Right.
So, but I'll still
Um.
go. But come on, man. Like, there's plenty of room. This is worrisome. Like
This
overall,
should be. This
for
should be.
growth of AEW is worrisome.
It should be. I mean, it's
This
the power of like how much money, how much you're getting paid means outweighs anything that you're doing in that company. Like I'm sure Edge is getting paid a lot. I don't know what he's getting paid, but I'm sure he's getting paid a lot. He's really not doing anything. Okada just signed a deal, um, and that was for $4.5 million
mm,
a year for 3 years,
yeah, yeah.
and he's gonna be used right for now because Omega's coming back eventually, and then they're gonna do Omega versus Okada again,
Yeah.
but this time it's gonna be in AEW for whatever the umpteenth time that they've had like because we mentioned their story before between Omega
But
and
that
Okada, which is a great story, but they're doing it again, and like
but
after
that it's
that,
they're kind of doubling down on the same type of storytelling and wrestling.
exactly, exactly, like this is all TK's fantasy land. I mean,
Well, I
as
mean,
far as the
it's
book,
like,
as far as booking goes, but it's also all these other people's fantasy land too, because it's the same people that are
yes,
going to these shows.
but that's
You
still
know,
niche,
exactly, exactly.
you
But it's
know?
like
And it's like,
we talk about Edge going out there and cutting a promo to the direction of a crowd where there's nobody sitting there. He's still
but
doing it, but that's also because he's making a ton of money to do it, so he's not gonna not do it.
but you could tell it in
Uh,
his face, man, when he made the entrance, one of the very first times, one of the few times, like, as soon as he signed after he first got to AEW. I watched these segments with Christian, like, "Go fuck yourself" segments. I feel like it's like a trilogy, of Go Fuck Yourself 1, Go Fuck Yourself the sequel, Go Fuck Yourself the third time. It was entertaining, but, it dropped off. I just remember Edge walking out, like you said, running to the right side and kinda like, "Oh, well, shit." Like, you just see it in his face, like, I have to play to this crowd that's not there.
right.
Like, you could just see it in his face, and it's like, he can tell, like, this was a
Oh,
little
he
bit of
was,
a culture shock on his face when he showed up, and it was like, "Oh, fuck." Like,
he's like, oh fuck, it's 2020 again.
I want AEW to succeed. That's like, I
Me too.
generally
Like,
I don't want anyone to fail, really. Like, I don't want anyone to do bad because that
right,
just won't do anything for anybody. Uh,
exactly.
I want AEW to succeed, but I want AEW to get the head
Right.
out of its ass and
Yeah.
start actually, let start trying to include a casual fan in there, you know, uh, try to move this. I don't even know how to present it outside of try to include a casual fan in there. Try to make
Well, they
makes
do try
like
that by bringing in all these people that leave WWE. Like, there's all these people are in WWE and they got this huge spotlight, and they kind of become almost like a household name where Edge, like everybody knows
mm,
who Edge is. Now we're gonna bring him to AEW, and it's gonna be just like it's just gonna be glorious, and everything's gonna go and it's like no, like it's not. It's a complete. The same thing's gonna happen when Sasha Banks shows up. Um, I feel like it's just gonna be she's gonna be there. She's gonna have a huge pop. She'll become champion right off the bat, and then it's just gonna drag, and it's just gonna be they're not gonna do anything. Like, and it's just like man, like it's like I almost feel like they would have been better if if all if the whole roster mix up didn't happen where WWE just released hundreds of people and all this talent and they didn't have a job and there was only there wasn't any other options really to go to. AEW was a big one and AEW brought all these people in and it's like where are they now? You know? Like I watch these shows and I mean like they're there but they're just shells of them, like shells of what I remember them being not too long ago.
well, this opens up a whole other, you
We've
know,
we've gone way off of
yeah,
that,
yeah. I mean,
but bringing in those casual fans, that's what should be filling those seats. Is people wanting to come see, you know, Dean Ambrose, Daniel
what does that
Bryan.
require? What does that
Uh,
require though? Like, what is
I don't
require?
know.
What does it require to bring in a casual fan?
Right, right,
What? Because if you're bringing in like you have Edge, you know what style of wrestling Edge is gonna bring you with Christian, you know that is WWE. That is
right,
something that casual fans know.
right,
But what happens? What happens to what like makes them feel like very shortly after they get to AEW, they feel like they're just not interesting by any means, or like sort of a retread in the sense,
right, right. I
you
don't know.
know, and
I mean,
it's well, you know, it's like what story? Like it feels like they're just so quick with their stories from like what I've seen.
oh yeah,
It's like
yeah,
we'll
oh
pay it
yeah.
off immediately, pay it off immediately, and it's like Edge and Christian was paid off like what within 2-3 months.
I don't know. I don't remember it. I feel like it didn't even happen. But
That's the thing, man. Like you
uh
see how long they've milked Cody's fucking story, you know,
right,
in
right.
WWE.
Almost to the point where people are like, if Cody doesn't win this, like he's gonna go back to AEW. Like that's how long they've been doing this, like dragging his story out.
Yeah,
They
and
just
and
they're just rushing into everything with that's what they like and like they're just throwing together he's just throwing together matches just ran like there's just no backbone to any of these matches. You're just throwing out matches out there just to get a good rating from Dave Meltzer, or
yeah, like
just
the
or just
story
to
that was.
fulfill a dream match.
I feel like, and I could be wrong here, and I apologize if I am. It feels like Dave Meltzer is like you know how dictators in countries end up surrounding themselves with yes men, and then
Yeah, yeah,
uh, and then you get they're going to give you all kinds of wrong information about what's really going on. So you're actually, as a dictator, you're putting yourself in a position where you can't trust anybody, and you think you're doing way better than you are, and then you fucking go to battle and get
Right.
fucked.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think
That's
that Dave Meltzer is doing that to AEW. I feel like that's what he's doing with this fucking promoter of the year bullshit. Um,
right.
I think storytelling in AEW is not interesting. There were some interesting, like CM Punk, MJF was interesting. But if you notice, what does AEW keep doing repeatedly over and over again is you bring, like, so you're bringing Okada, right? And Okada has history with Kenny Omega.
Mhm.
So the story that you're telling between Okada and Kenny Omega is that the story that's been told in a different promotion.
Right.
You're
Right.
setting up this match for one or two or three more matches, and that's what you're going to get out of it, as opposed to a year long worth of. It's like a chase. It's like what you learn in screenwriting, fucking 101. It's like it's the chase, not the end result, that actually creates a story. Like relationships, like if you have a love interest, most of the movie is going to be them trying to get each other, or one trying to get another, and things are going to be in the way. But as soon as they get together is when the movie ends. And the same thing with TV shows, because that's the interesting part, you know? Like, it's like AEW in the realm of, if we were to compare it to sex, AEW seems more like a just come, baby. you know? There's no foreplay. There's nothing else that builds it up to a crescendo to where that orgasm just feels fucking fantastic. It's just like, that's what it feels like. Same thing with Edge and Christian. Do you think that their story was built up in AEW? AEW is banking on the stories that have been built up before in a different promotion. There's nothing that they did. Like, they just brought Edge and Christian, should have had a fantastic thing together. And all the, like, they just had this fizzling thing because nothing was built. There was nothing done there to be like, hey man, well, fucking Christian's a piece of shit, but he's not. He doesn't want to face
Right.
Edge. There you go. You're starting. There's a little bit of story there. I just feel like that
But
this.
then like 5 months from now, it's gonna be Edge and Christian again. I just out of nowhere.
Uh,
You're gonna have like just Edge will appear again, and oh, here we go, Edge and Christian again.
yeah,
No
it's
story
not
built up
boxing.
whatsoever again.
Yeah, this is not
That's
boxing.
not.
Like,
I. Oh, right.
like boxing's like, there's one big fight. You have Mike Tyson versus, I don't know, Holyfield. Okay, first time. Holyfield, like, it's just one explosive fight, you know? It's not the same. Wrestling is not like that. Like, promoting wrestling like that is not the same, you know? Like, I've been trying to watch Tony Storm's promos, because there's something there with that character that I feel like can be gold. And I don't
Yeah.
understand what the fuck they're doing with her. What the fuck she's doing. She just kind of just like talk shit.
Yeah. There's
And
moments, and then you
there's
start
nothing
like
building there.
they hook you for like they hook you for a second. That's
Yeah.
what they did to me. I was like, this
Yeah.
is interesting. I want to see what happens next
Yeah.
week. And then I watched next week, and actually, I don't even think she was on. I don't even think she was on the show the following week. So I had to wait till the next week after that, and then they were back, whatever. And it was just like, oh, never mind. Like this, it's never mind. It's nothing. But it's just, yeah. And
I think that's the
AEW, that's what AEW does to me more than anything is they'll give me a glimpse of something that I like, and then I'll try and I'll look for that segment or whatever. Like I'll watch that part of the show because that's
yeah.
what interests me, and then it just immediately just
That's it.
flatlines.
Well, yeah, it's just it's not. It's like the storylines are so quick that like
Yeah,
same here. I do the same thing. It's like I don't want AEW to fail by any means. I want somebody to fucking be brutal with Tony Khan and just be like, "Hey man, those empty seats are not because you're you can't be a booker of the fucking year and have empty like half an empty arena."
that's true. That's a good point right there. That is very true.
And especially bringing in talent from WWE. For like that's the way I found out about AEW.
Mhm.
It's like, wait, not just Chris Jericho, but in the beginning, Cody Rhodes built that motherfucker up. Like, I thought this is fucking fantastic what Cody Rhodes is doing.
The early days of AEW. I mean, I will stand pat that I enjoyed early days of
Well, I mean,
AEW.
yeah, I
Different
watched
characters. There might have
I
been a
watched Darby
sprinkle of,
Allen.
you know,
Go ahead, sorry.
oh no, I was just like there's like sprinkles of talent where oh I recognize them. I know who they are. I didn't know they. I haven't seen them in forever. But then also there's a lot of like because Jericho was like the one. Him and Cody were the two guys that
Yeah.
were like I I've seen them. I've watched them for years. I'm familiar with them. Young Bucks. I've known of them. I've seen matches here and there, but I never watched the promotion they were in. But they're in AEW, okay. Um, but then there's like a whole slew of freaking new people and like interesting people. Um, uh, the group, the group that,
The Luchasaurus was like he was so
uh,
cool looking when I first saw him, you know?
him and Jungle Boy and the other Marco Stunt, like
Yeah.
those three, that was a cool freaking group
Jungle Boy
of
was awesome too. I don't know what the
like,
fuck happened to all
yes.
of them.
Yeah, Jake
Ah,
Perry's now in New Japan in um, the club, the Bullet Club. Um, yeah, it's just and then Luchasaurus is still with Christian, which Christian. I mean, Christian's still doing his thing. I don't. I mean, his storylines are fair. Like people talk about him a lot, so he's obviously doing something good over there. Um,
yeah, but it's dude, it's not like it just
but
doesn't pop like that. It like I
no,
follow AEW on YouTube because I
yeah,
want to see those, and it's like most of the times it's just like okay, it's not really interesting, and
mm,
it just seems like it just is as opposed to like look at the bloodline, you know, look how personal that writing got,
right.
and that the culmination of Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus the Bloodline at WrestleMania. And that didn't take what was that, maybe 4 or 5 months? But how long
Mm,
was Sami Zayn in? Like, so you had Kevin Owens first being the victim. Like what he fought Reigns 3 times, lost every time. And then you had like Sami Zayn was is joined there, and then Sami Zayn was just trying to fit in. I mean, they were just milking it, milking and milking and milking it. He's like, eventually what's gonna happen. But then you got Usi out of it, which is fucking hilarious, and then it's like, okay, so he's trying to belong. Finally, he belongs, and then he disagrees with the tribal chief, and he turns to help his friend, And then next thing you know, you have Jay, who in the beginning didn't want to accept Sami Zayn, but like you see, it was all chase. So like when you have conflict, there's a conflict between Sami Zayn and Jey Uso, and Sami Zayn is trying his hardest to be accepted by Jay, and finally he cracks Jay. Then they become really good friends. You know, are you gonna see that in AEW? No, it's just
No.
gonna be like, hey, Luchasaurus versus whoever the fuck, part 3. You know, it's like it just, I think that there's some sort of bubble that Tony Khan lives in, where people with yes men, nobody's telling him the truth, or maybe he just wants it to be the way it is, and it's enough. We're gonna be what we're gonna be, and that's it.
Right.
You know, and so maybe those empty seats are exactly what they want, but I have a feeling they don't, because eventually it's gonna come to the point where you're gonna have to look at your fucking budget. It's gonna come to a point where you're not gonna have enough fucking money to sign somebody like MJF, and you're gonna have to let him go. Somebody who can build something for you. You're gonna have to let him go to WWE, because finally you don't have enough fucking money. These empty seats, there's no way. How are they making money if they're not filling these seats? Is AEW profitable? You know, like this does not look good. They have their TV deal, maybe, but they're what, like 4 million subscribers on YouTube? Where WWE just crossed over 100 million?
Yeah.
Like AEW should be at least in the 20s, maybe even 40s. So it's something is not working, and somebody got to tell Tony Khan that it's like, hey, motherfucker, like, you know, I like wrestling, and I understand that I'm old. I understand that this type of wrestling is liked by younger generation, but those empty seats are telling me another fucking story. You
Right.
know,
There's
don't
just
tell me
no
you sold
growth.
out Wimbledon. Yeah,
Right.
because they like how much wrestling did they get there?
Exactly. Exactly. Of course you're going to sell out. But the moment that WWE goes to Wembley, they're going to blow that
Yeah,
attendance out.
or Wimbledon, Wimbledon, fucking tennis, Wembley. Well, yeah, yeah, but it's like
Well, they,
I'm glad they sold out Wembley. You
yeah, well,
know,
they
that's how
should.
it should be.
With the roster that they have, they should be selling more because
Yeah.
they have a good roster with good talent, just no stories. And it's like the stories that they do have are just stupid, and I don't get it. And it makes me frustrated when I have a person that I talk to. Well, whatever, every day. So at some point, this person is in a conversation with me, and they just eat up everything that AEW gives them, like this whole
Mhm.
scissoring shit, and I just like it's just stupid to me, and it's just like I don't get it, and it's just like it's just a different crowd, it's a different generation, it's just different everything. I'm just like I don't get it, but
It
these
is.
people
It
are
is a
eating,
different, like they got their crowd. I mean, that's literally what we've been talking about this whole
yeah,
time. They got
but
their fucking
like
crowd, but that's not filling
but
the seats, bro.
all their talent isn't for me because I like most of their talent that they have.
Yeah.
It's just what they're being made to do. It's just not it's not cutting it for me. So
I was I was in it.
if AEW comes here, I'm still not gonna go.
I mean, I'd go. I'd go to see it, and
Yeah,
like
yeah. I mean, I guess if I don't know. I guess it would depend.
I haven't
But,
seen that much wrestling live.
right,
Like
right.
I'd go to
Yeah,
see
yeah.
it.
Wrestling
Uh,
live is wrestling live. It doesn't matter.
yeah. I feel like see, like you remember Kenny Omega and Dean Ambrose or whatever,
Yeah,
John Moxley. What was that story about?
I don't know.
I don't. I watched the segments.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why they went after each other in a freaking lights out match or whatever it was. I don't know what it was. Unsanctioned match.
Well, they had that
I don't remember
the
why.
fireworks match where they just fucking bloody the fuck out of each other, and I'm like, but if you don't have a reason to do that, if you haven't built up
Right.
a good enough
Like
reason, this payoff is like it's like forceful coming. Like that's not fun.
the Jericho and his group against Omega and their group. I dug that for the most part because because you had a decent storyline. You gave a reason to why you gave a reason to why they were fighting each other, and then it ended up being the, the coming to a point, big main event, and that just freaking that was just stupid, and then that just erased everything they just built. Um,
It's just not fun,
and
bro.
it's just
It's not
right.
fun.
It's because it's like they bring in uh who they just bring in. Well, they signed them or late last year. Um,
Osprey.
yeah, Osprey. So they bring him in, and he's fighting Takashita or whatever his name is. Great match. I like Osprey. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but he has a match with Takashita, and I think that's how it is. I think his name. Maybe I might be wrong, but they put on a hell of a match. But
Mm-hmm.
why? And it's just because I
That's
mean
what the
they
AEW
like
is.
you like you want to especially for a debut. I can understand it because you're emphasizing and you're making everything that Osprey does look good to the highest possibility. It'll
Yeah,
also
but
make
they're not.
Takashita look great.
It's just
But
whatever was built between those two, or whatever there is
uh,
between those two, has not been built in AEW whatsoever.
right, it's just now they can air this and they can have voiceover
It's
instead
like
of needing subtitles
Mhm.
because
uh,
they're not doing this in Japan anymore.
so you know Alfred Hitchcock, right?
Yeah,
You're familiar, yeah, with so
yeah.
he had a little thing about suspense, talking about the difference between like picture a scene, and I might have said this, and stop me if I have. Picture a scene where there's two people talking, and there is two people talking in a cafe, right? They just meet, they're talking, two spies, whatever. All of a sudden, bam, explosion, and they die.
Uh-huh.
Okay? The drama there, the excitement there is for 2, 3 seconds. Okay?
I know.
Now picture this same
Okay.
scene. We open with a table where they're going to sit, and underneath is a little readout. There's a bomb under the table. It says like 3 minutes or 5 minutes, and it's counting down. And they're sitting at that table and they're talking. And now you have this fucking suspense for 5 goddamn minutes. You're building this up, and like, because we know shit's gonna go off. They can talk about fucking uh, how to properly clean your iPhone screen, and there will be suspense, there will be interest, there'll be intrigue. You know, AEW is like that explosion. It doesn't tell you anything. It just explodes. Whereas WWE shows you the bomb under the table and lets you fucking sit in it. They'll show it to you for 2 fucking years where you're like, God damn it. You know, sometimes they go too long. They tell terrible stories too. That's I mean, that's
Right.
part of the course
Right.
for it. But you see the difference. And AEW just like, hey man, our match is Okada Kenny Omega. Okada Omega. It's like, yeah, that story's been told somewhere else. And now what you're doing is you're just bringing the explosion here. You're just doing the explosion. Like, let's
Yeah.
build something up. Build something up with them to when they do go at each other, it's not just like a marquee match like boxing, you know?
Right.
I think that's what really bothers me.
Yeah.
And I think that's indicative of like people are just like, you know what? You may love this, but most casual
And
fans don't give a fuck.
WWE does that with everybody that they do, that they put on
Yeah.
that show. Everybody is part of a long-term booking,
Yeah.
but not. I mean, not. But not every story is successful. But
Absolutely.
every single person is in some sort of long-term booking.
Absolutely.
Every single person that's on that comes onto that screen is is in something.
Yes. Has had something. Whether it worked or not is a different story, but it's in something. And they were having issues, especially during the later years of Vince McMahon. WWE had issues with long-term storytelling. Like
Right.
they still told longer stories than AEW, but they were basically blowing their wad way too soon. And you know, that's the same shit we've been bitching about. And look at it
Right.
now.
Right.
Like holy
We
shit. Like the long-term
WWE still
storytelling is back and it's beautiful.
it is. I mean, and they still tend to have these guys face each other too many times.
Yeah.
But we used to bitch about it a lot more a couple of years ago. I think more so than
Yeah.
now. But it was just like because it was just the same matches every fucking week,
Yeah.
and like it became unwatchable almost. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, even more recently, SmackDown for a while for me it became unwatchable. Um, like the final quarter of last year, um, leading up to like halfway up to the Rumble, maybe. I was SmackDown. I couldn't watch SmackDown, um, but because it was just the same. Everything was the same, and it was just like, but they still do it.
It's
But
different now.
they have such a big roster, but yet they somehow fit everybody
Bro,
on every week. Every week, everybody is on them for the most part. And
writing
AEW, it's like with Osprey. Well, I was gonna say it was Osprey had that match with Takashita. Great match, whatever. There wasn't really anything uh, substantial for it, and that's okay for his debut. Like he doesn't need to be coming in right into anything. Like you want to showcase the best of him, yeah. But then a guy from his faction, who's half of the tag team, because the one half of the tag team got hurt and he's been out for a long time. So the other tag team partner had to go solo, and he became the TV champion. I don't know. He became some sort of champion, but he came out and after Osprey won, came out kind of like face to face, and then they were talking about how, oh, Dynamite this week it's Osprey versus this guy, and then they end up
yeah.
hugging each other. And I'm like, okay, that's weird. So they don't. There's not any. You just told me that they're going head to head in a fight, but now they're hugging and they're friends. So why are they having a match against each other? And then they have a match And then it's like next week, Osprey versus Bryan Danielson. And it's like, but why? Why? Bryan Danielson just got done having a feud with Eddie Kingston.
It's
Why?
about the
Why are
match,
you
and the
having?
match.
Why are you having? Why are you having a high profile match for with Osprey and Danielson? And it's because they're just blowing their load, and it's like we got to hurry up and get Osprey versus Danielson because everyone wants to see it. And
Yeah.
there's nothing, there's no substance. There's and, and there's still going to be empty seats.
Yeah.
It's just like
It's not sinking in, and
that's what drives me nuts. And it's like Tony Storm, you brought up her earlier. She has this character
Mhm,
change, and it's
mhm,
really unique. It's different,
mhm.
looks cool, and then all of a sudden she becomes champion. She's doing this thing, and then all of a sudden you get Deonna Purrazzo. She's free agent. She came from TNA. You got her. Now you bring her, and now she's right into the main event, and it's like, oh, why? Like,
Yeah.
okay, and they kind of built it up, and they kind of gave it a little bit of a story, enough to be like, okay, that looks cool. The promo that they did with each other was cool because half of the TV screen was black and white with Tony Storm. The other half of the TV screen was in color on
Yeah.
Deonna Purrazzo's side. It just looks cool. What's going on? And then other than that, there's no substance. And now you're going to have
No.
most likely Sasha Banks or whatever Monet come in and probably squash Tony Storm and get the title like right off of her, and then that's it for Tony Storm. Um, and
Yeah.
then you're gonna have
Too
Sasha
bad.
Banks do what? Like I'm guessing
It's going to be
maybe
another
like
match. It's going to be like, hey, Sasha Banks faces this, or Sasha Banks faces her, and it's
faces
like, but
faces who
that's
though?
not what
Because
this is about. Like, it's like, oh my God, it's like backwards. You know, maybe some people enjoy just watching a wrestling match as far as a contest, as far as what people can, how they can perform. It's like, you know, because when we talk to the youngins at the Jobbers, you know, that they spoke about, you know, matches being sick and matches being lit and all that fucking shit. There wasn't a lot of talk. Like, it was all about moves, what kind of moves they've done, you know, what they're doing, but it was never about story. Nobody sat there and said, you know, like Okada and Omega actually, you know, built a story over a long period of time with Bullet Club and all that bullshit. No, this is like uh it just, I mean, once again, it's so like, it just reminds me of, you know, us being teenagers and filming, you know, like we loved Star Wars, right? And when I was a teenager, Star Wars, like the prequels were coming out, you know? And all we wanted to do was have lightsaber fights. And but a lightsaber fight doesn't mean a whole lot unless you know why they're fighting. And so we had just glorious lightsaber fights, but you know, you go show that to somebody else, they may be amazed for a second. Oh, look all the crazy shit you guys are doing, but then they're done. There's you didn't do anything to rope them in, you know. And it seems like it's the same thing. Like that's what AEW is doing, you know. It's like, let's just have her talk random shit. You're like,
right,
okay,
right.
why?
And
Like,
like
what's the point of this
if
segment? And
if they
why
could,
such a cool fucking character, like, just in a pointless segment? Like, what are you doing? And it's like, I knew, like, we're just watching the shit with Tony Storm because I thought that character was, I like, she could definitely pull some of this off. Like, I felt like this
yeah,
is unique. is different. She got this
exactly.
Marilyn Monroe black and white thing. I mean,
Because
there's something there that's interesting, you know? And there's
there's
like,
character,
this is
there's character
pointless.
development. Like that's what. It's like
Character
that's where AEW is just so different. Like they they don't worry so much about the entertainment part because it's still wrestling entertainment, even if it's AEW. But they
Yeah.
they emphasize on purpose the pro wrestling part so much as if insult towards WWE that I mean that's they I don't know, it's just the you still need to be entertaining for people
Yeah.
to want to invest in watching you, invest in coming to see you. You still have to be entertaining. And like that's why people go to the movie theaters because they're watching a story on film. Like
Yeah.
you want people to show up to your weekly show, your weekly episodic show. Like it's just like it's like a season premiere every week for AEW.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
Well said.
oh, it's like another thing that I've been having in my head is like U.S. television. They'll do a version of say like a British TV show, and that British TV show is you know go like 3 seasons deep, but U.S. just packed those 3 seasons into a 16 episode season, and
Yeah.
like so they just consolidated you know 30 episodes. You know they consolidated it in half and gave us all of it, boom, just like that, instead of
Yeah.
watching it over a period of 3 years. You just watched it in 2 months or 3 months or something like that. Like that's how it's just like, yeah. And it's like there's things that AEW could do that I feel like could help. Like the whole, this is why WWE has pay per view every freaking month. Is because they have a lot of storylines, and they don't need a lot of storylines to go more than a month or 2 months. Like there's some that go on for a long, long time, and then there's
Yeah.
also stories that don't, and they
Yeah.
don't need to, and that's why you have a climax, and
And
then you
they
just
are
continue
stories.
that. It's like a wave. It's like a wave in the ocean. You have some waves that they go up and they come down sooner than the ones that are just they keep on rising. They
And
keep
then
on like
AEW is in a bathtub.
just going around in a circle.
Yeah. Oh, and
And
oh, toilet.
yeah, that's why they're
Listen, like we're going an hour over this.
that's that's what happens when we
I
talk about AEW.
I don't think either one of us. Yes, because we want it to succeed. We don't want AEW to not succeed. Like,
Because we care. We care so
we
much.
care. We want it to work because we
So here's
want
the thing.
something different,
Here's a new thing
new
too.
or different,
Is I
other
have
than.
I've been watching. Well, I've been tuning in to Dynamite and Collision the last month and a half, maybe. Especially more so when I remember it's on because I'm not used to being able to watch it. Um, but I have been able to, and so I'll tune in, and almost every time it's like 5 minutes, and I'm already like searching for something else to watch, and
Yeah.
it's just like nothing. Like that's the thing though is like I'll forget that it's on, and so like I don't catch the meaty part of their show, so I'm always missing the good stuff. But like I'll remember Collision is on, but Collision is like WWE main event. Like it's just like I don't know. They like the first Collision I watched. It was Dean Ambrose was starting off in the first match, and then he was fighting up against some guy I didn't know, and I'm like, how is this a match? on TV, like it just didn't make any sense to me. And it's like with Dynamite, I don't know. I just watch other things. And I don't think about AEW, so I'm always missing the big meaty parts of their show. Um, like stuff that I do want. Like I would like to see Swerve and uh, Hangman Page and those
They
guys.
had a good
Because
match there. It's not
yeah,
all
and it's
fucking
like
pathetic.
no. It's just like
No,
I'm not invested enough to make
no.
sure to make sure for me that it's a must see. And yeah, so
Yeah, dear Tony Khan, we are so desperately wanting to be invested into storylines that are being put on AW
yeah,
television programming, and I don't know who the fuck is talking to you, who's telling you shit.
it's just,
Um, but
you know,
those empty seats are not just me talking or you,
right.
us, but they are. There's two empty seats there. There are ours, for sure, and we
That's a
don't want it.
it's a constant thing of people making fun of how empty AEW is.
But yeah,
When
we're not
it
making
was
fun of
just
it.
well, no, but but people on social media are like
Yeah, well,
people
that's
like you can go
fuck
all over
them.
on Twitter. Well, no, but it's just facts though. You
Yeah,
go
yeah,
on
yeah.
Twitter on a Wednesday night and people are posting pictures of
Yeah.
Dynamite and how there's just nobody in the seats. Like that's all
Yeah.
I mean. I'm not specific anybody specific. Um, but one fact though is on February 19th, Monday Night Raw in Anaheim, California, they sold 12,293 tickets. 2 days later, in AEW Dynamite in Tulsa, Oklahoma, had an audience of 3,200.
Yeah.
That's almost 25% of
Hmm.
yeah. Um,
Yeah.
and then the February 24th edition of Collision in Springfield, Missouri, they sold 2,200 tickets.
Yeah.
And like
This is not a recession
they were
bullshit.
doing the whole no though they were doing the whole uh, Wednesday Night War or whatever, trying to do it with NXT and
Yeah.
NXT blew them. Well, WWE they just manhandled them because they just brought everybody over on NXT. But NXT is still putting up decent numbers, and like they're just in the same venue all the time, and like
AEW and
that's
Dynamite, Dynamite and Collision, right? I don't even
yeah.
fucking like that. That's not really memorable. uh,
Well, it's just like
they
WCW
listen.
shows.
Yeah, you should be competing if you're gonna compete, man. With the talent you have, you could easily be competing with WWE.
Exactly. Easy.
There's no
There's
reason why
just,
you shouldn't be able to compete with WWE. And I'm not talking about NXT. I'm talking about Raw and SmackDown. There's no reason you shouldn't be
right,
able to compete.
right.
You have plenty of fucking talent that has worked with WWE, that has fucking main evented at WWE. There's no reason they shouldn't.
They know how to do
This is either a
promos.
delusion. This is a fucking delusion, or people are lying to Tony Khan, but something fucking stinks at AEW,
Yeah.
and
I mean, I know
we
that
don't want to see that.
you know, they're always making changes. Like they've made a lot of changes within the last few months, especially like the last 6 months of like behind the scenes, like production wise, the way that the lighting is, the camera cuts, like the way they make it feel, the entrance stage. They revamped the look of Dynamite this week, I guess. Um, well, then someone says a bunch of people were saying that it looks like they're copying NXT 2.0, and whatever. I don't know,
That's
they're trying to do what works or what worked, and
they
but
can't do.
they're trying though. That's where I'm getting at. It's like
Well,
they
they're
are
trying.
trying
It's
to
like
do these things, and
they're not,
people are
dude. Like
noticing.
there's a different trying, man. There's fuck. There's a different trying. There you go. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Hey,
There's a different kind of trying. Let me tell you something, dude. You can fucking polish a turd. The difficult part is the storytelling is not easy, as you well know. You wrote shows for a little while, and you were trying to keep everything, like every single strand, and you're trying to build up rising tension. You were trying to do it right, and it's not an easy thing to do. You know, the storytelling in AEW is largely the like an afterthought. It seems like overall afterthought, and you can revamp the show all you fucking want. You can change how this looks, how that looks. That's just a sign to me. Like, dude, I've sat there. It's been what, 18 years that I've been writing, all right? And film, writing scripts, writing stories is not an easy thing. Because there's writing stories, there's writing captivating stories. It's not an easy thing, all right? And that's what I went to school for. That's what I want to do. That's what I do. It's not easy. And I flailed. This is like flailing. Revamping your lighting, revamping how shit looks is flailing because you don't want to tackle the hard part, which is story fucking telling.
right, right.
There, this is like either.
It's just putting another coat of lipstick
That's
on a
right.
pig.
That's right. You can put a fucking curtain that the wrestlers walk out of.
Right,
Okay, if you have good stories, you don't even need a Titantron. You don't need any of that shit. You don't need
right.
a fucking fancy stage where heels come out of here and faces come out of here. Like that was
Which makes the promotions of like wrestling that's out there. There's probably a lot of promotions that put out really good
better go.
stories,
Yeah,
but they have $0 worth of production,
yeah.
and that's what we like to showcase as our
Those are the
jobbers.
jobbers.
And that's what we well, that's the
Maybe that's
that's
what we
our
should focus more on than more on than AEW. But I no, I don't want WWE to AEW to fail. I want AEW to succeed, and they have that's what's pissing me off is they have the fuck. I cross my arms and everything, dude. I'm on my fucking soapbox now. They have the talent. That's like all these guys. Kenny Omega
they
is a
do.
talent. Fucking Jungle Boy was awesome. I really thought Jungle Boy had something special, but you got Edge. I mean, I'm sorry, Adam Copeland. You got Christian. You got Swerve and like Adam Page, man, whatever. But that's my own personal opinion. I enjoy that match between him and Swerve. Like you have talent, Brian Danielson. You have uh you have MJF for fuck's sake. MJF is a top talent. Just like the one thing I don't want to see is these empty seats are going to translate into you not being able to pay your fucking top talent. So you're going to go slow the way of TNA, because they didn't care. And eventually got to a point where they couldn't fucking pay their talent.
Right. That's why like TK needs someone
Somebody needs to
uh
fucking tell them. Somebody needs to slap them and be like,
like
listen, bitch.
like I was about to say like a Bischoff. Like I think like someone like that, like as far as like Bischoff to Ted Turner. Like that's where WCW flourished.
Yeah.
They need they
Like
need they
I've
need
even
they need someone like that to like to to work with TK.
I've even
They could
thought
do
about
something. You know.
fucking Vince Russo. And then I know that most wrestling fans are probably gonna fucking
Well,
go, "Oh
right.
my God."
Well,
But put Vince, like, I would love to see what Vince Russo would do with AEW. I mean, can it get worse
something
than it
like that,
is?
though. Right.
Maybe, but
Exactly.
they need some sort of shot in the ass, like I really hope that Tony Khan is just he is kind of reliving whatever, like, the type of wrestling he likes or what he likes about wrestling. I feel like I want to feel like or think that he may be surrounded by people who are just telling him what he wants to hear and are not really fucking like talking to him what's really going on, you know?
Well,
Like,
he probably doesn't listen much either, though.
well, I don't know. Like, I don't like. I'd rather give him the benefit of a doubt than just. But the fact that, like, just when he came out like a while ago with that whole CM Punk shit, when he read what the lawyers gave him, was like, well, what? What the fuck are you talking about? Like, what are you fucking saying right now? Like, this is not like, either don't say shit and just move on. Like, what are you fucking talking about? People, this is a safe, like, like people shouldn't come to work and get hurt. You're like, what? Like, it was just like, what the fuck are you talking about? Who is giving you this shit? Like, this is wrestling, bro. Like, you just had Kenny Omega and Moxley beat the living fucking tar out of each other. Fucking staples, whatever the fuck, barbed wire, just fucking bleeding all over the place. And you telling me that nobody should come to AEW to feel like they're not, like, life is not in danger? That's like the whole fucking point of wrestling, is to at least make it look like your life is in fucking some sort of danger, because the other guy wants to fucking beat the shit out of you. That's where I was like, that's where I really was like, I don't know if Tony Khan knows what's up. After that speech, I was
Probably
like,
it's just
I
a
don't know if he
fantasy
knows what's
booking.
up.
All
But
it's all
I
fantasy.
don't want. I want to give him benefit of the doubt. But those empty seats are speaking for themselves, man. This is
Right.
not a growing company. This is a shrinking company. And it's like, there's only so many times, like, that you can, you know, buy back your own fucking stock until people are like, well, are you actually creating some product, or are you just trying to fucking manipulate the price of your company? And the less fucking people there are in the seats, as we see, that's going to start coming off on talent eventually. And then the talent's going to go lower and lower and lower. And next thing you know, WWE doesn't have fucking competition,
Mhm.
which is not good for WWE. It's not good for wrestling. All right, fuck it. I got to go.
Yeah. No.
I am late. This has been the Jobbers, Mr. Big D. I'm Max Jaw. Check us out at jawbers.com, JAWBERS.com.
LYB bitches. Love you. Bye.